I think this is just being frustrated that they lost. Obviously, players like BA that are great know that if they got their hands on the ball, that they could have made plays. And I'm sure that there's a lot of frustration. This is also somebody who's very intelligent and knows that he wants to get paid this offseason, not next. The 49ers do wait a lot. They are going into the fifth-year option. Technically, his contract this year is fully guaranteed, and he's under contract with the 49ers this year. Next year, a lot of times is what they would do is wait and try to get the contract done then. This is him saying, I want to get paid this offseason. And if you would have fed me the ball, I believe I could have made plays to win that Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying in this moment he doesn't necessarily feel like he wants out of here. I could see that. One thing that you didn't see, and shout out to Lobs for shooting this to me in the DM, but he sent me a picture of Ayuk celebrating in the locker room. I think it was after they won the NFC West. I'd have to double check the hat, or maybe it was the NFC Championship. But one of the things that Ayuk's friend said was, "We'll see you in Vegas," or something along those lines. And a lot of people laughed that off as like, Vegas? You really, I mean, took you serious until you said you wanted to go to Vegas. Well, that picture of him celebrating in the locker room, there's a player standing next to him with his arm around him. They're very close friends, and that player is Jaden Daniels, who is the quarterback for the LSU Tigers and is rumored to being targeted by the Raiders. Now all those things start to make a lot of sense. It's clear that he's friends with Jaden Daniels. Maybe he wants to play with him in Vegas. I'm not sure. Either way, I think that this is something that they can get over. Do you think it's at a point where it's just he wants out and there's no option, or do you think that this is something that they can work through?
Oh, I'm sure they can work through it. Money talks, right? And, he's been here a while. I'm sure he's appreciative and likes his teammates. I'm sure he likes his coach, but I'm sure there's a lot of frustration there. So when I say I feel like this is legit, what I mean is his opinions that came out with less than 24 hours after the Super Bowl loss are 100% truthful. I don't think that this was, okay, girlfriend, friend, I want you guys to say this on your social media, so now the 49ers will give me a better contract. I don't think that's it at all. That wasn't planned. What they're just speaking about what they're talking with him about. This is 100% emotion reaction to losing the Super Bowl. And at this moment, or at least as of yesterday, he wants out. Now, will that change over some time after he's had time to cool down, after he's had time to talk to the 49ers and they start talking money? Sure, it could possibly change. But 100%, this is how Brandon Ayuk feels right now. Whether or not it comes to fruition, I don't know. But I definitely 100% do not think this is a negotiation tactic in any way. That doesn't make sense to me at all. Now, if this was later on and he released these statements independently, possibly you could say it's like a negotiation tactic. But I think Brandon Ayuk's frustrated, man. I think, San Francisco is not a premier destination if you're a wide receiver in this offense under Kyle Shanahan. A majority of what you do is run block. You're getting taxed out that, in California. So half your check is gone, right, because of taxes, for one. And for two, you're not getting a lot of targets, and you're expected to be a run blocker or you won't see the field. That's not what wide receivers really want to do, right? Like, there's guys like Juwan Jennings that are hungry, Romello Bell that are hungry and are willing to do that to see the field. Brandon Ayuk was willing to do that, and he's really good at it to see the field. But wide receivers want to catch touchdowns. They want to catch passes. That's what they do. And he hasn't been targeted nearly enough as talented as he is. This guy he had 1,300 yards plus this year on less than 100 targets. If this guy was somewhere else where they pass a lot more, he would be one of the top 5 receivers in the NFL, I believe. And I think he knows that. And I think this isn't a desirable situation for him. Now, the 49ers can absolutely work this out, and they absolutely should. Rob Stats and I were just debating on Twitter about, he said, I'm fine if Brandon Ayuk leaves. How? I told Rob, and Rob's my guy. I love him, but we disagree on a lot of things. How the hell could you be okay with Brandon Ayuk leaving? Who on the roster can replace Brandon Ayuk? If you lose Brandon Ayuk, you have to bring somebody else in that's not on the roster right now, because there's nobody on this roster that can do what Brandon Ayuk does. 49ers need to make this priority number one to me.
John Feliciano, somebody had tweeted out the play where it looked like McKivitz completely let Jones in the backfield on what could have been the game-winning touchdown, and Jones makes a play, stop the 49ers from scoring in overtime, and famously, we know what happens after that. However, it was Burford's assignment, and Feliciano made sure that everybody knew that it was Burford's assignment by saying that it was not McKivitz's assignment, and then doubled down after somebody had asked a question and doubled down saying that it was Burford's assignment, essentially. Now, Spencer Burford replied, said something along the lines of, geez, I just log in and this is what I see. And then Feliciano did apologize on the timeline, saying he was hungover and he didn't mean it, and he apologizes.
Acted like a bitch, to be clear.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So all those things. What are your thoughts about this situation?
I don't know, man. It is interesting because Feliciano and Burford were basically competing for the same position all year long. So I thought it was just inappropriate. I think a lot of these guys just need to stay offline with this stuff and keep this in-house, right? Like, I think that would be a good rule, is just to stay offline with this stuff, right? Like, let Burford take the initiative to correct, if he wants to, that it wasn't McKivitz's fault and that it was his fault. He doesn't need to jump in. I mean, it sounds like he was basically defending McKivitz, but in the process of defending McKivitz, he threw Burford under the bus, which is who he was competing with mostly throughout the year for playing time. So I just thought it was just a bad look. It's another guy. Just stay off social media, dude. Like, you're not helping the situation. Now, I thought it was good he went on and apologized. He realized that was stupid of him to say. I thought it was great of Burford. Burford not only responded to Feliciano, but he also came out and said, yes, that was my guy. That's my fault, basically. And I got to do better or whatever. And I thought that was great of Burford. But Burford, the young man, he's only second-year guy, had more maturity in this interaction than Feliciano, who's about 32 years old. Feliciano's a guy I've been, I was really high on. I told everybody he's an underrated free agent pickup when we got him. I said he was one of the top 5 guys on this O-line when we got him. I knew that he was going to make an impact this season. And all those things are true, but I didn't like how he sold his teammate out online. I didn't think that was tactful.
Yeah, I agree with that. Completely agree with that. I think that that was definitely Bush League. I'm glad that he apologized, and I'm glad he did it on the timeline.
Yeah.
And hopefully he picked up the phone and also talked to him, because I think that would have been the right thing to do. But when you call somebody out in public, you should probably apologize in public. And I do appreciate that he did that. The excuse of being hungover, though, like, come on, man. That's just, you said it. You meant it. You said it. Yeah. And if you did it in a drunken stupor, then you really meant it, because that's when you're going to let things fly. This is somebody you were competing with. For me, I hope that they can patch it up and everything works good, because I want Feliciano back. I mean, not necessarily as the starter, but man, he's a great depth piece for guys that if they need anybody on the interior to come off the bench, he can play left guard, right guard, or center. So for me, I would like to have him back. So hopefully that's somebody that they can bring back for a depth piece on the offensive line.
Do you think the 49ers look at Burford as the future at that position, or do you think they're concerned with his performance thus far?
I think last year they looked at him as the future. I think even parts of this year they did, but as the team progressed through the year, I think it became more and more clear that they might be searching for other answers.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Yeah, hopefully Burford takes a big leap forward, and he is a really good offensive lineman. But I think you're correct. I think it was evident that Feliciano was the better option there. Yeah, as the year progressed. I mean, I said it before the season. Like, when we got him, I figured that was going to be the case. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. The 49ers have drafted. I was thinking about this. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have been at the helm, for 7 years. They've drafted one good offensive lineman in that entire time, which is Aaron Banks. One offensive lineman in 7 years out of 7 drafts, 7 rounds, one good offensive lineman in Aaron Banks. That's concerning to me.
Yeah, that's not good.
No.
That's not good. Yes, Feliciano is a free agent.